Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Ball is Round. I'm Hady Raphael, and tonight on the show, Christine Sinclair Place witnessed the GOAT last hooray, the draw for Copa America 2024, and Wilfried Nancy's win in the MLS Cup. That and a lot more on episode 159 of The Ball is Round. And I'm joined tonight by my good friends, my best friends, Eve Powell and Elias Grigoriadis. How are you guys?
I'm glad to be back.
It's been a while. It's been a while that we weren't all three of us together.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's my
It
fault.
happens. It happens. I'm sure you're a bit disappointed though by the draw of the Wolves against Forest.
Yeah.
This kind of year, right? This kind of year.
yeah. Middle of the pack seems to be where they're firmly ensconced. So I'm coming to live with it.
Elias, I'm sorry, but the last time I checked the score, it was 2-1 Girona against Barcelona. Did it finish like that, or they were able to turn things around?
It was so much worse.
Oh, really?
Oh, no.
Yeah, it finished 4-2. And last week I was doing great because they won, right? And you asked me how I was doing. I was doing great. Now I welcome death. So at this point, the league is done. But Girona are back in first place above Real Madrid. So as long as they win the league and Real doesn't, then it's still a win in my book.
And on my side, Marseille won their fourth straight, winning at Lorient 4-2
What's that
today.
like? What's that like?
Oh, it's amazing. After the drought that we had in the last maybe 2 months, that's really a relief. We're back in top of the table, sixth right now. We're still far from our objective, but we're doing well. And if people want to listen a bit more about Marseille, I do have another pod in French. So if you're interested, it's called Des Fossés en Amérique. You can go and listen to it. We just recorded one not too long ago. But today, we're here to talk about the Canadian national teams, both of them, and also about what happened in MLS, because things happened like an MLS Cup, right? But let's dive right into it. And guys, on The Ball is Round, we usually celebrate the legends of the game. And tonight, we need to salute the incredible career and lasting legacy of Christine Sinclair.
Mm-hmm.
Her unparalleled skill, leadership, and unwavering dedication have left an indelible mark on the world of soccer. As she bid farewell to the national team in her final game, we will always remember the milestones, the records shattered, and the countless moments of brilliance that define her illustrious journey. Guys, what does Christine Sinclair mean to you? Let's start with you, Eve. We're not going to talk about moments because we already did that, but what does she mean to you?
A trailblazer, I think. A player who was unafraid to say the women's game has its place in the world, deserves respect, and who consistently stood up to improve playing conditions, to improve compensation, to improve everything that the women's national team players and women players in general live with. So for me, that's, I think, the biggest part of her legacy.
Elias, I'm pretty sure, Eve talked about, her being a trailblazer, but what does she mean to you? What kind of impact did she have on you?
Well, we talked about this a bit when she first announced this is going to be her last run of games, but simply put, she was the one of, if not the main player that, got me and a lot of people interested in the national team. Even people, followed the impact at the time and who followed maybe like European soccer. The Canadian national team was nothing to write home about. The women's national team was, starting to get their groove, but again, was nothing to write home about. And Christine Sinclair was the figurehead of that movement, right? In those Olympic Games where, those results we're part of the reason that we got a World Cup in Canada. And she was the main reason that people started to pay attention and to care about national team soccer. So I think, quite simply put, she's the reason that I started following the national teams and gave it more than just a glance in the paper or on sports and going, oh, they played. Okay, cool. And, for that, there's no thank you big enough for that,
No, I completely agree. And from my side, Christine Sinclair was the first one, that made me interested into soccer in Canada, not only the national teams, but just soccer in general. In my head, it's always been European soccer because, I was born in Lebanon, of course, and I was 19 when I came here more than 20 years ago. But in my head, soccer was just European. And for me, soccer was inexistent here until I heard about Christine Sinclair. And Christine Sinclair has been, the figurehead of soccer in Canada, as simple as that, men and women, for so long. I still remember those great days at the Olympics, that duo with Sarah Tancredi, that was awesome, and a player that I loved. And all those players with the Quebecers, of course, José Bélanger. I always remember Sam when I talk about her. That pride of seeing your national team, being good on the international scene is something that, for me, is completely related to Christine Sinclair's career. And it's so sad, and I feel old when I see her retire, to be honest. I feel very, very old. But you know what? All good things have to come to an end at one point, and this is what it was in Vancouver, in BC Place, that was, of course, renamed for that night, Christine Sinclair Place, which is, I think, a tremendous honor to have, a stadium named, under your name for just, even if it's for just one night. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see plenty more of stadiums being named Christine Sinclair in the near future, and hopefully we will. But let's talk about that game because, Canada, of course, and Beth Priestman had to prepare for, first of all, saying farewell to Christine Sinclair, but not only to Sophie Schmidt and to Aaron McLeod too, the former national team goalkeeper. But they also have to prepare for the Olympics. And they had a game that was very important against Australia. We did talk about the first game last week, Elias, with Sam too, being, a non-game in a certain way, because we were
kind
playing
of a training exercise.
Exactly. We're playing against the C team of the Australian national team. But this time around, we were playing against the A team, that team that beat us 4-0. And we wanted to see if that national team learns a thing or two after that horrendous defeat in the World Cup. And they did, because they did win 1-0 on a goal from Quinn. And I've been very, very harsh on Quinn in the last few pods. They had a good game, I think, in that game. I don't think it is all the bad performances that they had before, but good game from them. So what do you guys think about that game before it started, Eve?
Obviously we weren't there physically, but I think with the little teasers that had come out on social media, and with the preamble show that was held before it started and stuff, you could feel that palpable emotion. I think it even came through, honestly, the screen, just knowing what a huge occasion this was. And especially when the cameras would pan to the crowd and you would see all these individuals with Bristol board signs saying Christine Sinclair, thank you, you're my hero, however they worded it. So you really knew that, yes, there was going to be a game, but that really wasn't the occasion. The occasion was to celebrate Christine Sinclair. Of course, there is no better way to celebrate her than by playing a game of soccer.
For sure. Elias, you see that game. We said it on the last episode that it was important for the Canada's national team to win a game against the A team. Are you satisfied after that result, or do you still feel that it was still a friendly game? It's still a game where there was a lot of celebrations. Everybody was not really 100% focused. Or do you feel that it's the real thing that, Canada has grown from the last World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, it's also a bit of a rotated squad, right? If you look at if you're in a major tournament, with respect, Christine Sinclair is not starting. She may come on as a sub if the situation needs it, but she's not starting the game and she's not playing an hour. So I think that, the occasion definitely took precedent over 100% full seriousness, but it was still nice to see that the game was handled very well. Right. This is, again, because the 4-0 loss at the World Cup, Sam Kerr wasn't there either, right? So this is almost copy paste. I think there's like maybe one or two different players that were on that team that weren't on the starting lineup for Australia, this week. But that's a team that beat Canada 4-0, and this team was much more sure of themselves, much more competent. Didn't have as much of the ball, but handled the game much better. So that was something I was very happy to see that, Australia didn't just hit back on the counter and Canada didn't just, waft around in possession kind of aimlessly like we saw at the World Cup. There was a lot more purpose to it. And again, the goal was something that we just didn't see at the World Cup. It was just a nice little bit of direct play and good fortune. Yeah. But at the end of the day, sometimes when you're direct, you make your own luck. So all in all, I think everything went well, and I think you take your 6-0 aggregate win of that 2-leg tie and you move on.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you know what? We look at that game, and there was quite a few changes also from Canada. And let's look at the lineup that Bev Priestman chose. So first of all, of course, we have Kaylin Sheridan in goal. As central defenders, we had Kadisha Buchanan, we had Vanessa Gilles and Jade Rose. As a right wing back, Ashley Lawrence. Obviously, as a left wing back, this time around, we had Jade Riviere. In the middle of the pitch, we had Fleming as well as Quinn. And then up front, we had we had Lacasse on the left. We had on the right was on the right to Prince, and up front we had Christine Sinclair. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So what did you think about that lineup, Elias, when you saw it? Because we talked last week about the lineup and how important, that relationship between Fleming and Simi Awujo was really, really interesting, and we wanted it to continue. Unfortunately, it didn't. But how did you think about that not really new, but that renewed partnership between Quinn and Fleming in the middle?
Yeah, like I know you cut it right. Jessie Fleming is the team's best midfielder, and she will be a starter for the foreseeable future, right? And we talked about Simi Awujo a couple weeks ago before the 5-0 game, and we said, the starting position is there because Quinn has been okay, but not amazing, right? Yeah. So that, and credit to Simi Awujo, right? She made the most of it in that 5-0 game. So I think that Beth Priestman probably saw it, says, each of you get a game, and show me what you can do. For the rest of the starting lineup, I'm not too surprised, right? The left wing back is still, of the back 5+ goalie, is probably the most contested spot of the defensive group. So I wasn't surprised to see Beth Priestman kind of switch that up. But when you're playing the best available Australian squad, the other four are the other four, right? And if you want to make some subs at some point, fine, but you put your best foot forward defensively, and giving switching up the goalies too it's always good. It's especially during friendlies because it is a nice vote of confidence, especially for people who have put in really good performances in the past, and kind of remind them that just because you're not the number one goalie does not mean that we don't trust you or that we don't think that you're quality. So that was a nice rotation. And then, the rest of the lineup wasn't too much of a surprise. Everyone expected Christine Sinclair to start. It was more just like of the usual three that ends up starting, of Adriana Leon, Michelle Prince, and Chloe Lacasse, who's going to come on as a sub. And it was Leon, but not too many surprises other than that.
Yeah.
Eve, did you have any surprise,
No.
seeing that lineup?
No, not at all. Obviously, I think we all expected Christine Sinclair to start, even though, for the past, 2 years or so, at least, she has come off the bench primarily for Canada. But of course, she was going to be starting this match. I was definitely curious as to how long it would take for Sophie Schmidt to come in. And it was, I think, a pretty obvious, 60 minutes. Okay, let's do a 60-30 split timing. It was interesting to see Jade Riviere at that left wing back position, or left back position if you prefer. And like Elias said, I think that is definitely the position that's the most open to competition. I think Sydney Collins has made a really good case for herself in the opportunities that she has been given. But of course, Jade Riviere is playing at such a high level. She's finally getting regular minutes with Manchester United, even though it's at the right back position. That I can completely understand why Bev Priestman would want to give her a run out and see how much versatility she has in her boots.
Yeah, it's not the first time that we've seen her as a left wing back. Exactly. For me, that position, the best player at that position is still Gabrielle Carr as a left wing back. For me, she's the one that really shown the most promise. Unless you really want to play with a side that's very offensive and another one that's a bit more defensive. When Ashley Lawrence plays mostly as a winger, then yes, I understand that you have Sydney Collins that plays more as a left back, as you said.
It balances.
Exactly. It balances things out a bit. But yeah, no, I think it was very interesting. Let's talk about that goal, that header from McQuinn. Eve, tell us more about that goal. What did you think? How important is it, not only for the women's national team, but also for Quinn? Because as I said earlier, they weren't really good in the last few months.
Yeah, you're very right. They have not had a great, really, I would say 2023 in general for Canada, right? That's my estimate anyway. I love the fact that the goal... All good?
Yeah, I said I agree.
Oh, sorry. I love the fact that the goal came off a corner. And, we know that Canada can score from corners. They have done it a fair share of times in the past. And really it is open play that I think remains elusive a little bit for this national team. But obviously my absolute favorite part of the goal was that it was Christine Sinclair's header that flicked the ball on for the initial shot by Buchanan, which rocketed off the crossbar, and Quinn found, I don't know, their inner poacher striker and gobbled up the rebound really quickly to finish it. So definitely I think the best part of that goal was that Christine Sinclair was involved in it. 100%.
Exactly. And then Elias, we saw Christine Sinclair leave the field for Sophie Schmidt. Of course, we didn't see her in McLeod, and we weren't really supposed to see her because she wasn't in the lineup for sure. But how important, because we're always talking about Christine Sinclair, but we have a tendency to forget that Sophie Schmidt had an illustrious career also with the Canadian women's national team. How important is it for her to have that last hurrah too, but also to replace Christine Sinclair as on the pitch, to have her moment of glory?
Yeah, I think it's, being subbed on or subbed off is always, how one pays tribute. And I think that Christine Sinclair scoring all these goals, it's a great way to make your name for yourself. But at the end of the day, it's still a team sport, and it's team results, and people like everyone in that, that bronze medal winning side that I think kind of first caught fire for national team soccer deserves to have their flowers, and deserves a similar kind of reception, right? And if you could have a testimonial match, that would be awesome against, maybe have them against an American side. It might get a little bit heated, but have them against an American side or maybe recreate
I'm not sure they could do a true testimonial.
Yeah, to the best of your ability, maybe recreate those lineups or something like that, because it really was a landmark moment for North American soccer in general, and Canadian soccer specifically. So I think that if we could give that substitute moment to every single player that was on that squad, I would love that, because they were all so vitally important. And Christine Sinclair was obviously the figurehead and the face of that team, but it was an absolute group effort from top to bottom.
Yeah, and we'll say hi. Of course, we say hi, of course, to Roberto that says good Sunday, and of course to Michael that says
Wave.
hello too. So hey everyone, and hey for everybody that is listening to us live and interacting with us. Feel free to ask questions. We'll try to answer them, as efficiently as we can during the show, for sure. So for the women's national team, 2 wins against Australia. We're waiting for the next international window and the next games before the Olympic Games. I was going to say the World Cup, but the Olympic Games. The Olympic Games will be, of course, without Christine Sinclair, without Sophie Schmidt, without Erin McLeod. But so many young players and interesting players are within reach of the women's national team, and it's very, very, very exciting. All of them playing in Europe, most of them playing in Europe, which is really good. Some very exciting young players like Olivia Smith, so many Simia Woodrow, and so on and so on and so on, that are doing very well, which is going to be very interesting for the future of the women's national team. Mm-hmm. Now let's move on and talk about the men's national team, because we all know the men missed a very good opportunity to qualify for the Copa America last time when they got eliminated from the Nations League. And we did talk about it here on The Ball Is Wrong. And we were very, very mad and very upset. But the men's national team have a chance still to qualify for Copa America by playing against Trinidad and Tobago in March 2024. It's one game. The winner gets in. The loser loses everything. Everything they have to play for in 2024, in my opinion. The draw was just done for the Copa America, and now we know which team Canada will play against if. And I'm just being
we are operating under an if. Thank you for understanding.
If they win against Trinidad and Tobago. So let's take a look at the groups. The Group A is the group that we're looking for. Canada will play, if they beat Trinidad and Tobago, they will play against Argentina, Peru, and Chile. In Group B, we have Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Jamaica. Group C, we have the United States, Uruguay, Panama, and Bolivia. And Group D, Brazil, Colombia, Paraguay, and the winner of Honduras, Costa Rica. Guys, if you look at the groups, which group is the most interesting group, or the group of death of that competition, in your opinion? Whatever, if it's Canada qualifying, or, Honduras or Costa Rica or Trinidad and Tobago, I don't think it's going to make such a difference. Where do you think is the group of death? Let's start with you, Elias.
Group of death in the conventional sense, where it's just like heavy hitters. I don't think there is one outright. I do think that if you put the thing up, the drawback up, Group B with Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, and I believe Jamaica, it probably has the makings to be the most entertaining of all the groups, just because I think that the quality there is so close together. I think that you really could see any one of the 4 teams finishing at any one of the 4 positions. Brazil and Colombia, there's always going to be fireworks. Argentina and Chile's getting a bit on the older side, and Peru has struggled with form. So it's, on paper, it makes for a lot of entertainment, but, you never really know.
Group A is like Argentina and then group of death for the 3 remaining.
The gulp, exactly. But yeah, my as a casual observer with no stake in this, I would be excited to watch Group B, because there's just so much potential drama and nonsense that we love in group tournaments. But obviously, as a Canadian, I'm definitely have all my attention on Group A, and should Canada win, they're opening up the tournament against Argentina, which is something I never thought I would hear myself say, but here we are.
Well, fear not. You may end up not hearing yourself say it.
I'm not saying it, but that is also a very real possibility, which is insane.
Yeah.
Eve, your opinion, or do you agree with Elias?
I wholeheartedly agree with Elias. I think Group B is the most closely aligned as far as teams in form and, just the general, if you will, star power of the teams in that group. So yeah, I think that one is probably the hardest to predict who's going to win, especially just knowing what up and down form Mexico has been in the last really couple of years. So I think there's a lot of interesting question marks, and I'm really curious as well to see if Jamaica is going to be able to pull in any more dual nationals, which have obviously helped bolster their side, knowing that they're going to play in kind of an elevated competition next year.
We have a very good question from Roberto. Of course, Michael sent us a question too, but we'll leave it for the for the rest for later in the show. But before answering the question of Robbie, just before doing that, I'll give my opinion because I don't agree with both of you.
Okay.
For me, the group of death is Group A if Canada qualifies, of course. The reason behind it is that we all know that the big teams usually are not really ready at the beginning of the competition. We still remember Argentina losing against Saudi Arabia in the 2022 World Cup. The group stage is always very, very difficult for the strong teams. And I feel that this group can be very, very difficult. Peru is not a joke. They have some very good players. We have, of course, Argentina for sure, Canada if they qualify, and the fourth is Chile. Even if they are older, they're still very good players in that squad too. For me, that's the group of death in that competition. I feel that the Group B is still a very interesting group, but I don't see any very strong teams in that group because Mexico is not what they used to be. And all the rest of the teams are not really that strong.
No, but that's what makes it competitive is because there's nobody head and shoulders above.
It may not be a traditional group of death, but it's definitely probably the most competitive group.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I feel Group A is the most competitive in my opinion. So if Canada qualifies,
interesting.
If Canada qualifies, because Trinidad and Tobago, if they qualify, they'll be last for sure. So with all my respect to Trinidad and Tobago for sure. Now that's,
oh my god.
That's my opinion. And the Group C is so easy in my humble opinion, because Uruguay is just so strong. And then you have two teams that are really not that good with Bolivia and Panama. So United States and Uruguay should be very simple, top two.
Should.
Exactly.
Emphasis on should.
Should, exactly. And then the Group D, same thing. You have Brazil and Colombia, and the rest not very interesting. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting Copa America. Whatever happens with Canada, it's going to be very interesting in my opinion.
Let's hope we find it interesting, because I will admit, if Canada's not playing, I'm just going to be like, okay, bye.
Okay, that's a question for you, Eve. Robbie's question: do you think Argentina is worried about playing us if we get there?
That's so cute. I have a sneaky feeling that Robbie's question was a little bit facetious.
Do you think? Do you really think? Come on, we all know
I
that.
have a sneaky suspicion.
But Elias, do you have any other answer for Eve? You're the resident optimist of the ball is round. So
I mean, Kamal Miller is teammates with Lionel Messi now, so maybe there'll be some added motivation to the back line. Who knows? But if we see a decent amount of MLS players who maybe want to stake their claim against a future opponent in MLS. No, realistically, no. Argentina is the clear favorite in that group. I don't think it's close. I don't think you get to that point. I don't think you become world champions without taking every opponent seriously.
Exactly.
But worried is a different level. We definitely won't get the same Argentina that came out against Saudi Arabia, where they did start the game slowly. I mean, granted, it did also take a master class from the Saudi keeper.
Of course.
But at the end of the day, they lost, and Argentina were not ready. I don't think you become world champions and go like 50 games unbeaten out of 51 up until the World Cup qualifier against Brazil, I think, or no, against Uruguay, without knowing how to handle your business. So realistically, this should be an easy 9 points for Argentina. But hey, this is a really big moment for Canadian soccer, and I'm very excited to see if
if
they get there.
win.
I so appreciate
How they
finally.
tackle this challenge.
Yeah, and Michael says Trinidad and Tobago is 3 times better than Canada.
Oh, come on now.
Honestly, the Canada that we saw in that last match, I'm like, maybe. Because Trinidad and Tobago, I think it was the last match, they beat the US. Of course, the US had like some controversy, but yeah.
It wasn't the last match, but yeah.
No, it was
close. It was
yeah.
close because the last match they lost. That's why they are in that
Okay, yeah, I
round
did
against
invert it.
Canada.
Sorry.
So
Yeah.
no, it's okay. Don't worry. And of course, Michael, I really don't agree with you. I think that Canada should be able to win against Trinidad and Tobago unless they're not well coached, which has been the case against Jamaica. And we talked about it here on The Ball Is Round, so I'm not going to repeat the whole thing that we discussed. So feel free to go listen to our pods. We've had so many discussions on that topic.
156-ish.
Exactly. I can look it up if you want to, if you're interested. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a very interesting game, but an interesting competition. Sorry. How important is it, Elias, for Canada to qualify and play these games?
I mean, we've said it. We've been saying it since the World Cup ended. This is the single most important thing happening between World Cups. This is the single most important event, tournament, whatever, Gold Cup, Nations League, nonsense. None of it matters in comparison to, making sure that you at least put up 3 solid, at the very least, even if you don't make the next round, 3 solid matches against quality opposition in a tournament setting and not a friendly setting. So yeah, I mean, we've been over this. We're not going to repeat how important and how detrimental to the overall effort of the federation it will be if they don't qualify. It is simply the only thing that matters right now, and the only thing that has mattered since they got knocked out of the group stage.
Eve?
Yep, I wholeheartedly agree with Elias. All good.
Okay, so nothing else to add.
No.
Honestly, I feel that that competition could be a stepping stone to better things. As simple as that. Whatever the results, if they qualify for the Copa America, whatever the results, it's going to be so important for the growth of the game in Canada, and that's something that we need to live. We need to experience in a certain way, because the World Cup was the first step. This is the second for us to continue our growth, and the third one will be, of course, the World Cup in 2026. The rest, winning a trophy is one of the steps too, which I don't think is going to happen in the next couple of years, but you never know if you have a decent coach. So we'll see. It's gonna be a very interesting game in March. It's very, very far, but still, it's gonna be a very interesting game with a lot at stakes for the men's national team. So that's for the Copa America and the draw. And last but not least, Wilfried Nancy and the Columbus Crew winning MLS Cup against LAFC. Final score 2-1. Guys, without really going into a very difficult and researched question, how do you feel?
Full disclosure, I actually went out yesterday. I didn't watch it. So full disclosure, I feel kind of bad saying it, but it was barely a blip on my radar. Maybe I'm a bad podcaster.
No,
it's okay.
Not.
You can say it.
No, you're not. But it doesn't mean you don't really need to have watched it to feel something, right? So, but it looks like you're not feeling anything, so which is good. And it's, I'm not judging.
No, it's healthy. I appreciate it. Heidi's oh my God.
I'm not judging. I'm just losing my hair. You see, I don't have anything anymore. No, but Elias, how do you feel?
I was watching especially in the first half hour, they were incredible. And I couldn't help but think that, and I talked to my brother about this after the game. We were talking about it, and I said, if Montreal hadn't been so eager to sell off their players, right? Even look with Hernan Losada and not Wilfried Nancy there, this team is last year's team. You take them, solid playoff team at the very least,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But just watching the way they played and watching how and seeing so many similarities to the way he played in Montreal, but just refined and elevated. It hurts my heart because I know that could have happened in Montreal. And part of me thinks that if Montreal hadn't look, we talked about this a bit at the end of last season. You know, for the longest time, players would leave Montreal because they weren't good enough, or because they didn't get along with the system, or because they weren't at the level needed. This is the first time in forever that players have left Montreal because they were that good or because they played that well. And I think Montreal is just not used to that attention. And instead of saying we're going to hold on to them, build them up even more, and then we're going to sell them off when they're because realistically, let's say they have an okay year, just an okay year. Alistair Johnston, Georgi Mihailovic, Ismail Kone, their value doesn't drop, right? At worst, it stays the same. At worst. So my thought is, what was the rush? And I likened it to, a kid that was maybe not super attractive in high school, that hits puberty, gets really hot, gets all its attention, and doesn't know how to react. And I think that Montreal hit the jackpot with some incredible players. They built up some of these incredible players, and they get all this attention from European clubs, and they don't know how to react. And they go, "Oh my God, you want to buy a player? Buy the player. Buy the player." But I hope that maybe they learn this lesson, and if there is another, not generation, but there's another crop of really strong talent that gets attention overseas, they'll go, "You're gonna get your chance overseas. We're just gonna spend one more year." Because look at, for example, Nathan Saliba at the beginning of the year, who was forced into this position and didn't have a good start and needed the time off or to kind of get his feet wet. Ismail Koni's there. He comes in as a sub sporadically, right? If Georgi Mihailovic is still there, then they don't get Mahala and Bryce Duke. They get maybe one of the two. Or maybe they get neither, and Sean Rea has that bigger brother that we said he needed so bad, right? If Alistair Johnson isn't there, they don't go out and get Aaron Herrera. And that, how much is it? $700,000 a year that is, earmarked for Aaron Herrera, gets put into something else. So it's all these things that I went down the rabbit hole last night, in case you didn't notice.
You really did. I've
Yeah,
been sitting here
really
for like
did.
the last 3
I like
minutes,
that.
like, holy
I
shit.
like that. I like that.
And that was one of my biggest concerns when all these players started getting sold off was, did they oversell? Did they sell off too many pieces? To the point where, yes, you're restarting your cycle, but you're restarting from scratch. You've torn it down almost to the foundation, and you haven't given yourself any real foundation to build off of in terms of, assets that you can sell in the future, because all the assets you can sell in the future, or the majority, are all gone now. So that was my thought process. As you can tell, I definitely discussed at length with my brother and my cousin, and it was a whole thing. But yeah, congratulations to all the Montrealers and all the Montreal people in Columbus that got their flowers.
You know what? I'm sorry. I don't mean to be mean, but I don't agree. I'm sorry. It's been the second time now, but it's nothing against you. But I really don't agree. I don't think that the selling of players is the problem in Montreal. It's the departure of Wilfried Nancy. It's as simple as that. Because look at Columbus Crew. At the beginning of the season, let's say they didn't win the MLS Cup. Look at the players they got rid of. Just look at the players they got rid of at the beginning of 2023. Players that were important, not only,
vital
first team players, but also rotational players, like Derek Etienne, like Hairston, Perry Kitchen, Arthur, the Brazilian, Mensah, that was gone, Eloy Room, that was gone, Dejanek, the Australian national team player, Zela Rayan, of course, Luis Diaz, of course, all those players were gone. But what Nancy was able to do is rebuild and bringing players that aren't really expensive. They didn't play much for them. Yes, they paid, but not much for them. Players like Christian Ramirez coming back from Scotland, Amundsen, getting, that they brought over from NYCFC, Rudy Camacho, Julian Gressel, Diego Rossi coming back from Fenerbahce. Yeah, they paid a lot for him. Let's put it out there. But that's the only transfer that they did. The rest, it's either free transfers or MLS trade.
Next Pro
with
as well. They brought players up from their Next Pro team.
Yes, of course. You have 3 players from
play the youth. Hady.
Yeah, play the youth.
Yes.
So you have Schulte, you have Mo Farsia, and you have Jason Russell-Rowe. So you have so many players that are branded Wilfried Nancy, that have learned the Nancy way. It's as simple as that. So, it's not important if you sell players or if you get players. What's important is that the idea and the identity that you have, that your coach instills in that team, that's what's important. And that's was yesterday I was thinking of. I was like, oh my God. And we all knew that, when he left, we all knew we lost a gem.
Yeah.
Of course, we can argue, and we can discuss and we can say, it's his fault. And it's right. Yes, he does have a blame in this for sure. He didn't want to be here and, he has values and stuff like that. And we criticized him. And yes, we can't say that he's a saint. But at the end of the day, he's the only reason why the crew lifted that MLS Cup.
Yeah. 100%.
There's nothing else. He is the reason. Go ahead, Eve. Sorry. I can go on and on.
No. I really don't have a whole lot to add. I think one of the most impressive things that remained, I think, consistent between Montreal and Columbus with Nancy is how quickly he was able to imprint his style of playing on that Columbus team. Because it was essentially like from so early in the season, they were playing this beautiful soccer that they played from match 1 until yesterday when they won the cup. And I think his ability to get players on his side and to get that buy-in from them is like, I'm not sure what other coaches in this league can pull that off. Because obviously the style of play that he demands is like a very taxing style for the players. It's a lot of running. It's a lot of awareness. It's a lot of constantly checking here, checking there, checking everywhere. But the players executed it perfectly in Montreal, and lo and behold, he got them to do the same thing again. So all I can say is power to him. Like you said, Hady, he had certain values, certain things he wanted that he wasn't going to get at Montreal. Obviously, their one major transfer during the season was Diego Rossi in Columbus. But lo and behold, he wound up being a difference maker for this team. Not the difference maker, but important. Exactly. And so I think all of us bitter Montrealers over here, we're always going to wonder, what if?
I don't think we would have lifted the MLS Cup with Nancy. I think we would have kept a very high level of play, and we would have been a really better team that we were in 2023. Maybe, don't forget that Columbus in 2023 was at the end of a cycle. They brought some interesting pieces in order to lift the cup. Or reality, CF Montreal, we were at the beginning of a new cycle. So it's two different things. Columbus was mature enough to win an MLS Cup in their roster. Our roster is not mature enough right now, but next year it could be better depending on the head coach for sure. I'm not saying that they will win the MLS Cup, but saying it should be better because we're in year 2 of the new cycle. It's as simple as that. And I agree with Robbie saying the level of player is important too. Of course, we're not diminishing that at all. But it's not only the level of player, it's also the identity. And that's what we mean by Wilfried Nancy being the masterpiece of the crew of Columbus. It's as simple as that. Now, yeah, go ahead, Elias. You had something to add?
No, just agreeing,
Okay. Now, if you look at the Play the Youth movement that Eve talked about a bit earlier, and I'm so happy that she started quoting me. Do you think we have a problem in North America detecting players? Because having, the crew did something that no MLS team has done in the past by, promoting Schulte as a number one goalkeeper, by having Farsi being number one in front of Julian Gresser as a right wing back, by having players like Aiden Morris a couple of years ago, being now so important for that team? Or do you think it's just that we haven't seen much of the scouting network of the North American teams? Like, I feel that we have some gems in North America and we can't see them in a certain way because we're too blinded by the international market. Am I wrong? What do you think? I'm seeing you.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think like while you're saying it because it's such a big question.
Yeah, I know.
So like my gears, my brain here are trying to turn, hence my brow consistently furrowing because I'm like, okay, let me think here, let me think there, let me think everywhere. That's my thinking face, which is a scary thought for all of us, I'm sure.
Good question.
I'm a good host usually.
Usually.
Oh, I would have liked I'm not gonna lie, I would have liked a minute to think about this before.
Take your time. I gave my piece, saying I do believe that we're ignoring the local market. It's just not normal that Mo Farsi was, and there's a tweet from Nicolas Amartino. That's of course the agent of the player. Let's put it
I was
out
gonna
there.
say, there's an agenda.
But still, it's a very interesting tweet because he says something that's very, very interesting. He says, I'm just pulling it off. Not good enough for 7 or 8 CPL clubs. Not good enough for 29 MLS clubs. Good enough to start in an MLS Cup final. Talking about Mo Farsi.
Right.
And for me, how come we didn't realize the potential of Mo Farsi and other players?
I'm confused. Are you asking about Montreal or are you asking about MLS clubs in general?
Clubs, 29 MLS clubs have denied making an offer for Mo Farsi. 29.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about all MLS clubs. I'm answering your question.
No, it's just kind of confusing a little bit. I don't know. I can't answer your question. Honestly, I don't know. No, I don't know how each individual MLS club scouts, unfortunately. I think Montreal definitely has a super limited scouting network, 100%. We see every now and then, that's basically the only news coming out of Montreal these days, is that they've added some other local net club to their network, if you will.
Yeah.
So maybe they're going to finally start improving. But I also think that talent will rise to the top. And if an MLS club is blind to a player and overlooks them, then there are scouts. I mean, European clubs, even clubs from all over the world have much richer scouting networks. And so I think that talent will still rise to the top and will hopefully be seen, if not by a CPL club, if not by an MLS club, if by somebody. I mean, players like Jonathan David also managed to fly under the radar for so
But he didn't want to sign.
No, that's true. That's true.
Different.
Yeah, that's a little bit true. But there are, and when you think of as well players who have come back, maybe they played in like developmental leagues in Europe. They signed with like a reserve team, and now they're coming back to MLS. Same kind of idea. If they played in North America, went reserve, and then maybe didn't make it all the way up. So I really do think like the talent will rise up. And I think that there are enough eyes, especially in 2023, when we have the advantages of technology on our side, that if MLS clubs can't keep up with the pack as far as investing in their scouting networks domestically, then other clubs, other continents, feel free to pick our pockets.
Elias, your opinion on the matter?
No, I agree with Eve, right? I mean, especially with the allure of Europe, right? They get first dibs, right? For the most part. I think that they see promising young Canadian talent and they can go, even if you spend a couple of years in the MLS Academy, they go, we want you. And 90% of North American kids will go, okay. Because who doesn't want to play in Europe, right? Even the people that signed to clubs go like, yeah, eventually I'd like to go play in Europe. That is the default setting for a lot of these kids. And you can't blame them.
I think I'm kind of thinking of like players who aren't even playing in an MLS setup or a CPL setup or any kind of professional academy setup, because I'm thinking of like the players who are,
but that's also fair because there are three professional leagues in North America, right? On an entire continent. Most countries have 3 leagues total with a fraction of the population, right? There are so many more leagues just overall in Europe with deeper pockets, more extensive networks, and more established infrastructure and philosophies. They know how they've been doing this literally for over a century for most countries. So yeah, it's no surprise that they're leagues ahead. And remember, right, Mo Farsi was signed to an Algerian club, but then the pandemic happened and he had to go to state, right?
Yeah.
But an Algerian club, again, with a much more established soccer infrastructure, noticed him, right? Again, he's an Algerian. His ethnically Algerian, and there's obviously some kind of scouting setup, but at the end of the day, this is kind of the behemoth that North America, MLS, CPL, USL are up against. Yes, there's a lot of semi-pro establishment, but at the end of the day, yeah, they are fighting not a losing battle, but it is definitely an uphill battle for the most part. And I think that's something that needs to be kept in mind. And it's also why we see a lot of, even at the grassroots level, like for example, the club that I coach at has an agreement with Valencia, and we send kids to Valencia camps and vice versa every year in Spain. So I mean, they're so ingrained in every single aspect of North American soccer that it's not even it's subconscious at this point.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know, honestly. I can't wait to see the MLS clubs really dive a bit more into their local scouting. I think there are some very interesting players within North America that are worth are worth being professional in a certain way. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what's going to happen in the future. We do have quite a few questions that we received from our fans before the show. Let's start with the first one, Eve.
Patrick? That's first on my list.
Good.
Okay, so Gervais said that we surpassed the 10,000 season ticket mark and counting for the first time in club history, on top of the Apple TV money and the second half of the transfer fees coming this year. Do you think this will mean an increase in budget? I sure hope so. Oh, Patrick.
Go ahead, Eve. Go ahead. Start.
Oh, Patrick, you sweet summer child. No. No, just no. No.
It's based on what that you say no? We don't know, right?
No, we don't know. Experience, exactly, basically, yeah.
But think about it, okay? Just think about all the salaries that CF Montreal got rid of this year. At the end of the day, even if they want to keep the same salary that they had last year, they have a lot more budget
They've got
than they had in
1.5
the
million to spend.
Yeah.
more than last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely follow you. Does that mean they're going to spend that? No. Because
So you think they're going to reduce the salary?
They're already
salary?
29th out of 29 with
No,
another
they
club
won't do
coming in.
that.
They want to be 30 out of 30, and you know it. No, I'm
San
joking.
Diego's gonna
I'm
spend
joking.
way
I'm
more.
being
Are you kidding
deeply
me?
sarcastic there. In all seriousness, they also have, they're also kind of, we know they're flirting with the idea of renovations or moving or God knows what with the stadium. So they may be earmarking some of that money for other projects, right?
They said they are. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Which means that if they're earmarking some of the money either from transfer fees or from their additional season tickets or from recouping some of that salary budget, then what's to make us believe that they're going to find more money under a stone somewhere?
But they still need to keep the interest up. Like they
Yes.
still need
Oh,
to
they
keep the interest
absolutely
alive. So
do.
they can't like not reinforce themselves and just sign, a bunch of players from the academy and call it a day.
No, and I do know, I forget the interview, but there was an interview somewhere where
Olivier Renard, yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't remember who it was, but that would have been my guess. Said that like scouting this off season is going to be more of a mix of veterans and youth versus like the intensely youthful scouting that was done in the 2020 right before the 2023 season.
Yeah, it's going to be mostly young players, but there will be some experienced players too. So that's what's interesting in what was said. I think it was Vasily on this point specifically.
Might have been.
But Olivier Renard said that he wants to reinforce the forward line and the left wing back line. So he and you were there, Elias, when he talked about that in the presser. But do you have anything to add on this question, Elias?
No,
do you think the budget will be higher?
I think it'll be same-ish. I know that he likes to stick to his guns and kind of scour the globe for a diamond and a needle in a haystack, almost. But at the end of the day, I still believe. I don't believe it's a fact that the majority of his best business has been inter-MLS business, and I think that should be the focus of. Again, there's still a salary cap and all that, but that's where the majority of the work has been done, and I think that's where the majority of the work should be done in terms of scouting, in terms of potential trades, in terms of signing free agents, in terms of all of that. So I think that again, it'll most likely be a healthy mix of both. But at the end of the day, you keep on signing international players that aren't necessarily ready for the MLS for this kind of league. Doesn't matter how good they are if they're not ready to play here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we did have right now the MLS showcase that was done yesterday. I think it was from the 6th to the 9th. So that's going to be interesting to see what Justin Mapp and the other scouts have. Yeah, exactly, with the draft next week. And don't forget that the transfer window opens up on the 11th, so tomorrow. So that's going to be very interesting too. The trade window, not the transfer window, but the trade window that opens up tomorrow at 9 a.m. So will we see movement right away, or will we wait a bit before seeing movement? That's going to be interesting. And also, do not forget, Olivier Renard said that all players that are under contract doesn't really mean that they will stay with the club. So that's also very interesting. So we'll see. There's going to be movement. In my opinion, we're going to see movement. We're going to see reinforcements for sure. I think that the budget is higher than last year.
Well, inflation, it has to be a little bit higher.
More than inflation. I think you have more money to play with this year. But don't expect the club to go sign a player for 5 million or 10 million. This is not going to happen. This is not the model that CF Montreal wants to follow. So, if we go and sign a player for $1 million, yes, that can happen like we did with Alvarez. But I don't think we will see more than that as a transfer fee, obviously. So let's wait and see what's going to happen. But I think we're going to see a lot of movements. I think that about 30 to 40% of the roster will be changed for the beginning of 2023. That's my 2024. That's my own opinion. 30 to 40% of a new squad for 2024, which is for me what's needed.
Then it's really hard to say that you're in like year 2 of a cycle if that's the case.
No, because the cycle you start with the what do we say? How do we call it? The flag bearers in a certain way, right?
Like
You start with
column?
the spinal column. Exactly. That's what you start with. And right now you do have that spinal column. You have Sirois being the top, the goalkeeper. That's going to be number 1. That's completely sure. You have in the middle of the pitch, you have those 3 with Wanyama, Piet, and Saliba that are going to be here, on a rotational basis. And of course, you have some young players that are going to be here too, with the Dukes, with the Sunusis, and so on and so on. So you do have that spinal cord. You need 1 or 2 starters, that's for sure. But you have Aaron Herrera also that I forgot. That's going to be a part of that spinal cord column. So I don't know. Let's wait and see. Wait and see.
We'll agree to disagree on this one.
Let's agree to disagree. And you know what? Michael agrees with you. Eve's saying more budget, and he laughs. Kyoto will leave, and he will be replaced with someone that's cheaper. Let's wait and see, Michael. I don't agree at all. I don't agree at all. But let's wait and see and see what Irana has in store. Move on to the next question.
Yes. Just 1 second. I have lost my mouse. There it is. Okay.
With the change of rules, players that are free agents in MLS that are 24-year-old and more, like Omir Fernandez, which free agents will you choose and could be interesting for CF Montreal? We did talk about this last week. Was it last week, Elias, or 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, I think. 2 weeks ago.
I wasn't there.
No, you weren't there. So 2 weeks ago, we did talk about this, and there are a few players that were clubs that have released their free agency players since then. But I said last time Memo Rodriguez, I would go for him. I also talked about Adam Lundqvist that I would go for. Elias, I think you had mentioned. I forgot who you mentioned. No, you were here. If you talked about Will Bruin, no, or is it you, Elias?
No, I mentioned him. Yes.
Yeah, you did mention Will Bruin. So we did talk about this. From the new players that came out. I would love to have Miles Robinson, but I don't think it's going to happen because I think
there's still negotiations.
But he's going to want a DP contract like Zimmerman, and I don't think we'll give him a DP contract. So, Miles Robinson would be nice. You have Donovan Pines that I would love to have. I think he can be very interesting as a center back. But the rest, yes, there are some interesting players, but nothing to really excite me. You have some good rotational player. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at the list. And want to
quickly, but I don't think I have anything more to add, really.
Another left back option that kind of jumps off the page is one Daniel Lovitz that is also there.
Oh, wow.
I
don't like returns. I don't like returns.
Yeah, I am kind of in agreement with the both of you that nothing immediately jumps out and goes, I'm a starter and I'm the solution to all your problems. But Adam Lundqvist was a name that was kind of thrown out that did seem interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because with Austin, he's put up good numbers, and I haven't followed Austin too closely, but based on everything I've read, he does the job well. And at this point, you don't need superstars as your fullbacks. You need people that get the job done, and you need people who are reliable. And Aaron Herrera is reliable. And I think having another reliable left back, and then you have the option of someone like Ariel Lester off the bench if you need an extra punch going forward, is a pretty effective kind of depth chart.
Yeah.
But yeah. Nobody else really does make, nobody makes your eyes sparkle on that list.
It's hard because the list is there and it's got some kind of eye-watering names on it, like Carlos Gil and Gustavo Bou.
Yeah.
But like those players are likely going to be able to renegotiate with the club that they're actually
They
playing
have an
for.
option.
You have to
Exactly.
take some names with a grain of salt. Right?
But
Luciano
it's-
Acosta is
even-
there too, right? Like,
Even
you're not gonna
Ariel
get
Lassiter is there, and
Yeah,
we know
exactly.
that the option was picked up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Like
that's
So
Luciano
it's
Acosta
not-
is there too, and he's the MVP. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you're not getting Luciano Acosta.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you look at this published list and you're like, oh my goodness, and then actually it's kind of like, oh well. Although Gustavo Bou, he is actually leaving. They
Yeah.
did like the thank you post and all that.
Yeah, but nobody's gonna sign him on a DP contract. I'm sorry, like he's not DP material in my opinion. So, he was
he
good
is
for
against
a year.
Montreal.
Yeah, he was good for a year, but then he wasn't that good afterwards. He was signed, I think, for a record fee. I think 7 million or 8 million back then, if I remember correctly. But
I don't recall perfectly. I mean, he scored 14 goals last season, which is more than any other Montreal player. So
yeah, to be fair, the bar is in hell.
I was gonna say the
More
bar
than a
is
Montreal
pretty
player.
low, but 14 goals is a solid
still very-
contribution. Yeah. No, it's no. Oh, sorry, my bad. That's 14 appearances. I was looking at the wrong column.
Okay.
Never mind.
no,
He
but
scored
seven
5
goals. So,
Yeah.
so
Still not great.
that's pretty nice. But
I mean, for
still,
Park-
No,
he-
that's not DP money. Nice.
no.
yeah, and he signed for 6.5 million euros. So that's
Yeah.
like 8 million US
Ish,
dollars.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that's too much.
No, that's
I'm sorry.
hefty.
I don't know
I
about
agree
that.
with you. Yeah.
So and there are some interesting players in that list. You guys talked about it. I don't think they're going to be available. So let's
Yeah.
wait and see who is available. If you look at veterans, that could be interesting if you're able to get them for a non-DP spot, like Johnny Russell. Those are players
Kai
that
Kamara.
can be interesting.
No.
No, thank you. I
No,
don't like
we-
returns.
you love
Got him
returns.
for once.
I don't like returns.
Okay.
So let's wait and see until we
Yeah.
have a clear list, and then we'll be able to answer your question more thoroughly for sure. Moving on to the next tweet, and the next question that we received is, Chan, do you think that Montreal will announce a new coach before Christmas?
No.
Please, God, let them
I didn't
know.
even direct the question to you.
I'm so sorry. I jumped on it. No,
Please, God,
I
let them
don't
announce
think they
new coach.
will, honestly. I have no logical reason to back it up. We've heard nothing. Like there's just been
Not even rumors, no rumblings, no mumbling, nothing.
no.
Which
Exactly.
leads me to believe I don't even think they know where the
Yeah. So no, I can't even, I remember we were trying to talk about who could be a candidate, and like we were kind of pulling names out of hats a little bit. So no, I feel like it's going to be like a process with a capital P.
Yeah.
to
Robbie,
find a coach.
I cannot tell you.
Yeah. Again, what we Robbie asking who will be our coach. We talked about it a few times already
We
here on the
don't
Ball is
know.
Round. We don't know. We did throw a few names here and there, like Bobby Smignotis, like of course I said Alessandro Nesta at one point, but he's not going to sign here. He's
Carlo Ancelotti.
Carlo Ancelotti, but that's never going to happen. But yeah,
No, no, my bad. I had him earmarked for the national team.
for the national team.
My bad.
So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. I do think that it will be announced before January. Klopas is not available, Robbie. Yes, he did sign with the Fire as a permanent head coach.
Chicago.
So yeah. So let's wait and see. But I do think that it will be announced before January, before the Christmas break. I'll be very surprised if he signs
disappointed.
after. Yeah. But I'll be surprised because it doesn't. If you want to build a project, you need to have a name before.
Yeah.
And it looks like I don't think that Olivier Renard will wait until January. And if they wait until January, it's going to be announced on the first week of January.
Okay.
That's the latest, in my opinion. Moving on. Next question.
That's it.
No, we have.
Oh no, my bad. I gotta scroll up. Okay.
Yeah.
Next up.
Simple guy. can CF Montreal do anything in the offseason to remove the bitterness some feel in the way the team lost Nancy? My gut tells me that Nancy would have left anyway, even without Joey's locker room nonsense. However, because of it all of the bad feelings falls on the team and Joey. Because of it all the bad feelings falls on the team and Joey. What do you guys think?
I mean, I get where Simple Guy's coming from. I think he and I, maybe we have a lot of the same feelings. I get where he's coming from with like the feeling of bitterness, and it's kind of like watching your ex, move on, and they get like a hotter new girlfriend or boyfriend or what have you, and you're like, oh.
And they get married because,
or they get married, whatever.
MLS Cup is basically getting married. Right?
Yeah, there you go. And so like, I'm sorry, we can try and pretend we're all good people, but you can feel a little salty after that for sure. So I know what he's saying, but like what they could do to, assuage any lingering bitterness. In the honestly, I'm not 100% sure that there's anything in the Montreal philosophy that they could do. They could try to bring back some other old players into the fold and like make some promotional stuff with them and whatnot. But I don't see anything like from a practical like player signing or coach signing or whatever standpoint that they are going to do that would paper over that, I guess. So I got nothing. I'm sorry. I know, realistically speaking, rather, I got nothing.
Look, I mean, the healthiest thing to do when trying to get over an ex is just stop comparing everything you do to how your ex is doing. Wilfried Nancy is no longer the coach. I had my little moment of panic, like, oh my God, that could have been CF Montreal if they decide to run it back. I maintain it would have been CF Montreal if they decided to run it back 1 year. But what's done is done now. You move on. You stop framing your life and everything around your club in the light of, but this would have happened if Wilfried had stayed. Maybe. But the reality of it is he's gone. He was always super ambitious. He never hid his ambition. And the reality of it is that, maybe without Holy Gale says I'll be bitter forever. But we are the bigger people. We will but yeah, look, at the end of the day,
Robbie, you ask a lot.
Robbie says win. Yes, win would be nice, but at the end of the day, you have to stop framing everything you do in alignment with what your ex is doing, because then that way lies madness. Just move on.
And you know what? And Michael, I think, has suggested something that would, in fact, help us all forget and move on. Tajon Buchanan is on the market.
Guys, he's worth $50 million.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, he's not.
And he belongs in Europe. He needs to stay in Europe and flourish.
50 million. That's what I saw. So no.
Is that his value really?
That's no, I don't. 50 million. So it's as crazy as that. It's not his value, but this is how much
the algorithm has calculated.
That's what the offers are. They're around 50 million right now. So
if we all pool our money,
we will get 1 million.
I actually need people. I'm like, I needed to go the other way. I can't.
Anybody who contributes gets a season ticket. They take the price off your season ticket.
They did that for Alejandro Silva.
Yes.
When
oh my God. When
he went back to Uruguay.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing. They had them like lined up outside. Oh yeah, it was a big thing.
So interesting. Okay. Let's wait and see what will happen.
We have one more question.
You know what? Yes. Go ahead, Tate.
Yes.
From last week.
How long until Wilfried Nancy is coaching in Europe? Will our new coach be named before Christmas?
Everyone's on like the same wavelength.
We did answer the new coach question. Let's talk about Wilfried Nancy moving to Europe.
And that was also Michael's question from earlier this evening.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So Michael asked us that question too. Honestly, I feel the time is now.
I think it's darn soon.
Yeah. No, I feel it's now. Now. As in during the transfer window, during
Interesting.
winter, like now, because a lot of teams are looking for coaches, and a lot of teams are looking for a coach that's going to be able to come with an identity. And Wilfried Nancy is that kind of coach. He proved it with two teams, with a team that doesn't have a budget and with a team that has a budget. And he made sure to, one, not only go to the MLS conference finals, but also go to win the MLS Cup. And he did that by putting in place the same game, the same kind of game, like being very offensive, very, very easy on the eyes. And that's something that's so important for all the teams in Europe and everywhere around the world. So, and him being, French also, that could help, interest from France, from League One, maybe League Two, a team that can be in League Two and
like a promotion contender,
contender. Even, there are some very big clubs in League Two right now. Bordeaux being one of them, Saint-Etienne being one of them. We have in Ligue 1, we have Lyon. That's one of them. Like, you have so many good clubs in Ligue 1 and Ligue 2 that are looking for coaches, that I feel that now is the time for Wilfried Nancy. Because if he stays in MLS, what is he going to do? Like, he won it all. He needs what? To win a Champions League? Maybe. That's a good challenge. But
that's a good challenge.
If he has a chance right now to go to a club like Lyon, a lot of people are looking at Lyon and the situation in Lyon, which is disgusting, with players really with a lot of ego being in that team, so many coaches not being able to do anything. Wilfried Nancy is going to come and he's going to say, okay, you're with me, you're not with me, just go away, like he did in Columbus, getting rid of we talked about it, Zelarayan and some very, very good players that he didn't feel will adhere to his identity of play. So I feel the time is now. He has to make sure to look at the market, to look at the offers. And of course, he needs his agent to really sell him a bit more. But I think the time is now. Anything to add, guys?
No, I agree. I think as soon as the opportunity presents itself.
And Bobby says,
I just don't want to see him coaching a national team. Yeah. Perfect timing, Robbie. People have been talking about him for a Canadian team, for the American team. I don't think his style of coaching is fit for the national team. I think he's a coach that loves to get his hands dirty, that loves to get very involved with the nitty-gritty day-to-day aspect. Exactly. And I think that when you're a national team coach, you are so removed from your players' individual process, and you kind of get a bunch of different players from a bunch of different systems. You kind of have to mash it all together and hope it works. And I feel like that would drive Wilfried Nancy mental. And I think that he's much more suited for the day-to-day, because trying to get everyone to play his style of play
for like 3 weeks out of the year,
every 3 months would never work. So I think that he is much more suited for club coaching than the national team coaching.
Interesting. This is it for the questions that we got from our fan. Thanks a lot, guys, for always sending questions. Feel free to send some more whenever you want to. Before every episode, we do take all your questions and answer them as much as we can. Of course, during the show, also, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. As you can see, we answer them all. Eve, you prepared a little something for us.
I did. I prepared a quiz.
Yoo-hoo! Let's do this.
Yep. All right. Are we ready? And again, I know sometimes you all are like, where the hell do you come up with these questions? Don't ask me to make a quiz if you don't like my random questions, okay?
I'm still gonna complain.
All right, then.
Even if the questions are really good, I'm gonna complain.
I wish I had like a near me, because I would like lift it up.
I'm so happy that when Eve is doing something, I'm allowed to complain, because or else she's the one complaining all the time. So
there you go.
I can steal the complaining part of it all now.
Okay. So all right. It's all good. I can just unpop my little earbuds. We're fine. All right. Okay, you ready? I have 5 questions in total. I don't have a tiebreaker, so if you tie, you tie. Okay.
Good. We can't tie if it's 5 questions, right?
Well, you could both get one wrong
True.
because I don't have like a be closest type thing. I just have
Okay.
there's a right answer and a wrong answer.
We're not gonna tie. Good.
Alrighty, bold assumption.
I'll
Okay.
win. Go.
So let's go. Elias, I will defer to you as you are on the bottom of my screen, and you'll have first crack at answering the first question. Okay.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. Which of the following players who had a blink and you'll miss it careers with the Montreal Impact played the most minutes with the club in all competitions?
Okay.
Adrian Aregi, Harry Novillo, or Deanne Boldor?
What's the Adrian Aregi? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the first name. Yeah.
And Deanne Boldor. Deanne Boldor, I'm not sure.
Yeah, Deanne. This is how I call it.
I was blinking, you'll miss it. He didn't stick around long enough for me to learn.
I have no idea, so I'm going by my best educated guess, and I'm gonna say Boulder because I don't think it was Novillo, and at that point it's 50-50.
Alrighty.
So, yeah.
Hady.
Novillo, in my opinion.
You're correct by 30 minutes. He played 440 minutes, and Dan Boulder played 410 minutes.
I told you I'm gonna win. Go.
Alrighty. Hady, you get first crack at question number 2. Okay.
Good.
The GOAT, Christine Sinclair, scored 190 goals for country. Her 100th goal came against which nation? England, Switzerland, or Poland? Also, you're not allowed to Google.
Hey, he's typing. I can see him type.
Oh my god.
Okay,
if it's gonna turn into
put your hands on your head.
Oh my god. Okay, children. Let me put on my elementary school teacher hat here. Okay.
Okay, England for me.
All right.
Sorry.
It's your turn, Elias.
I think it was England as well.
You're both wrong.
Fuck.
Was it?
It was Poland.
Sorry.
Oh no.
It was.
It was. I did 99, 100, and 101.
Wow.
Oh, that's mean, but also really smart.
Wow. So England was 99 or 101?
Yeah. England was 99. Yeah.
Okay. 101 was then
Switzerland.
Switzerland. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was in the same window as
really
Poland, I think. Yeah.
Okay, but you know what? It's okay.
It's okay.
I'm still winning.
It's okay. Yep. Okay. Question number 3. And now you're gonna see like when I start scraping the bottom of the barrel here for inspiration. So question number 3. Which player who currently plays in MLS has the highest market value of Canadian men's national team players according to the aggregate transfer market? Your 3 choices are Kamal Miller, Max Crepeau, or Jonathan Osorio.
Wow.
Whose turn is it?
It's your turn, Elias.
It's you, Elias, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Come on, Miller.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say the same.
You're both correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2-1.
Yeah. His
Still
market value is apparent.
I gaslit myself into thinking it might have been Osorio because he's an attacking midfielder and they're
and then Max
higher.
Crepeau has an MLS Cup, which like when you win a
keeper.
championship of something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He is actually
29, so.
Yeah, and Max Crepeau is actually ahead of Osorio.
Really?
Yeah, exactly, because Osorio is 29 and 30 or 30, so
he's 20 years old.
Yeah, he's old, man.
All right.
Recommend.
You ready? 2-1.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Excluding the 2020 season, when only 23 MLS matches were played, Montreal's best defensive record of conceding 44 goals in MLS regular season play has occurred twice, in 2021 and which other season? 2013, 2015, or 2016?
Can you repeat the question?
Excluding the 2020 season, when only 23 matches were played, CF Montreal's best defensive record of conceding 44 goals in MLS regular season play has occurred twice. In the 2021 season and which year?
So less than 44, right? That's what you're saying.
So no, they
That's what
conceded 44 goals in 2021. They
Yes.
conceded the same number.
the same number.
Yep.
In 2021 and another
And
year.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you need the 3 years again?
No, I'm good. Yeah, go ahead. So 2013, 2000
15,
15,
2016.
Okay, it's either 15 or 16. Fuck. 16.
Okay. Elias,
I think it was 13.
you're both wrong. It was 15.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
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 2013, they conceded 49 goals in MLS League play. And then 2016, it was a pretty shocking 53. They just
See,
scored.
I feel like I deserve the point because I was closer.
No.
No, that's
It was
not
a better
how it
defensive
works.
She
season.
said,
Yeah.
she
It was the
said
better
before the
defensive
quiz.
season.
She said
No.
before the quiz she doesn't have this kind of question. So
No, it's you're right or you're wrong.
I get part.
Do you have
All
one?
right. So
How
it's
many-
my
how many
2-1
questions
for Hady, and I have
Yeah.
one question left.
Yes.
So
I
Elias,
get
this is
part
for your
marks in my
honor
heart.
here.
I get part
Okay.
marks in my heart. It's okay.
I'm
And Elias
he's
gets
the
to go
first one, yeah.
first. Yes. Which actively playing defender has the best goals to match ratio for the Canadian women's national team? Ashley Lawrence, Vanessa Gilles, or Shalina Zadorsky?
Is this
I did the
Is
math
this with the national team? or
with the
overall?
national team. Yes, with the national team.
Who are the options again? Lawrence, Gilles, and Zadorsky?
Correct.
I'm going to go with Gilles.
Okay.
I'm going
Ariel,
with you.
Ariel thread.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
both
going with
correct.
you.
You're
Yeah.
both correct. She's
Yeah.
0.09 goals per match.
I win!
Yes, Hady wins 3-2. It was a nail biter. We didn't need a tiebreaker, thank goodness, because I didn't have one.
Good. Thanks a lot for the quiz,
So
guys.
a challenging one.
I'm very curious to know who got 5 out of 5. If there is someone on that is listening or hearing us right now, do you guys have 5 out of 5 or no?
It'd be very impressive.
I'll be very impressed. Very impressed.
I was gonna say you might have a place on the ball is round.
Good. So
All right.
that's it. Thanks a lot, Eve, for the quiz. We
You're
had
welcome.
fun, and that's the whole point of having a quiz. Moving on.
Nobody complained.
Nobody complained. Exactly.
Speak for yourself. I
won.
still deserve part marks.
So moving on, let's go for social media.
Alrighty. Okay. Elias, over to you.
Yes, this is from Tony Cardone. Dear MLS, we're going to start bringing flares in the stadium since clearly y'all are fine with LA doing it on the regular. Can you clarify the easiest way to bring them in? If our security is slightly more competent than theirs, best rest of the league. This is replying to the very impressive flare show that LAFC supporters put on during the conference final against the Houston Dynamo. They were later fined.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
The club was fined and the supporters group was suspended, I believe.
And there's going to be like an investigation.
Exactly. So my question is not about that. My question is, does MLS hate fun?
But that's
do.
all leagues now. That's all leagues now.
Where do they still allow flares these days?
No, they don't. They don't allow flares anymore.
Do soccer leagues hate fun?
No pyro, no party.
Yeah, but they hate, accidents, right? And
yeah,
so
I understand. I do understand. I do, especially because when you show up, you're often a few beers in to your day as well. Yeah.
You know what? They should maybe, install some places where a flare could be put, like a bit like a fireplace, but just for flares,
like a
in a certain way.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think that could be done. I'm pretty sure, every stadium could have that installed where it's a secure area for flares, where you need to put it on a certain stick or whatever. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that could be done so it's safe.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
With maybe security around it or whatever. I'm pretty sure that could be done, but Yeah,
I
I
think, like,
agree that without pyro, it's not really fun for sure.
yeah, I think part of the fun is like the spontaneity of setting it off.
Exactly.
So I kind of think I get where you're coming from, and I understand like there are also laws, regarding flammable objects
For
and
sure.
stuff like that.
Laws are made to be broken. It's okay.
Okay, Elias.
Elias.
We'll start. Maybe we'll devote our Patreon to Elias's bail fund. Yeah, but
Love it.
that being said, I do find it really hypocritical of MLS to use images of flares in their publicity
That is
and
also
then
true.
also say they're not allowed, because you can't have it both ways.
That is very true.
So I will say that is one thing that I have been like really annoyed by. Because they have done it in the past. They've retweeted images of flares being used in stadiums like that, and that does give the idea that they condone it. So you either have to be all the way in or all the way out. And it appears that MLS is finally trying to appear that it's all the way out. And now,
Interesting.
Whack.
I don't know, fun has gone to die.
Exactly. We used to be a proper country.
Anything
Next
else?
tweet.
No, go ahead with the second tweet.
Okay.
Right, this is from Joel Tomlinson. Hashtag thank you sync. One experience after being unable to make it to Aussie, I guess, to experience the World Cup. I knew this was a game I couldn't miss. It was everything I had hoped for and more. I mean, we were there. We tried to be there for the game at Satsupuro.
Yeah.
We followed along the Christine Sinclair's goodbye tour. How do you guys think Canada Soccer handled Christine Sinclair's goodbye tour? What would you have liked to see more of? What do you think they kind of knocked out of the park? How do you can start?
No, I like what they did. Honestly, of course you can always do more, but I think it was very decent, and it was a proper send off for Christine Sinclair by making it all about her. That was important, naming, and I'm pretty sure it's
That
the
was
city
so
of
nice.
Vancouver. I'm pretty sure it's the city of Vancouver that decided to name BC Place after Christine Sinclair for one night. I hope we'll see a stadium called Christine Sinclair Stadium at one point in Canada. I think that's the next step. Of course, Hall of Fame is the next step too, because it's like, but we need to wait, I think, 5 years before.
I was gonna say,
if there's anybody you'd waive the rule for, though, it's her. So
true, but I don't think they're gonna create a precedent. So because or else you're never gonna stop.
Look, if you become the greatest goal scorer in international history, then you could sure, that's a pretty tough precedent to hit at the same time.
I agree, but I think there's still wait 5 years, but we'll see. So I like what they did. Honestly, I really like what they did. I like what Beth Priestman did, also giving her the start, giving her the standing ovation. When she was going out, also giving an opportunity for Sophie Schmidt too, which was really interesting from
Really
Beth
nice
Priestman, because she had, she made sure that Sophie Schmidt had her own ovation by just coming in place of Christine Sinclair, which is really, really nice too. So no, I don't think they could have done anything more.
Would have been nice to see them share the field, even if it was just like 5 minutes. Because
I agree with Hady on this one.
Yeah, we would have eclipsed completely Sophie Schmidt, in my opinion, if they were both on the pitch.
Yeah.
It would have been nice,
I think,
but I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Would have made my heart happy.
Yeah, Eve, go ahead.
I think the only thing that I would have, and also we forgot that December 12th is now Christine Sinclair Day in BC, which is super cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so going forward, so like I gotta say, like BC and Vancouver, they pulled out all the stops for Christine Sinclair, which of course she is from BC, so it makes sense. The only thing I would have done, because overall I love that they went to a variety of different stadiums. I love that they closed it out at home for Christine Sinclair, and of course all the fanfare that was done on that day and during those two matches. The only thing I would have done was I would have, before they played their last game in Toronto, I would have confirmed that Christine Sinclair would be retiring at the end of the year. Just so that any Canada Soccer fans who might have said, oh, well, they haven't said anything, so I might not need to like really soak this in.
Yeah, I get that.
I think that's the only thing I would have wanted Canada Soccer to do differently, because I know that we can be a little bit salty about a lot of matches being played in Toronto for our national team, but it is indeed their official home stadium. So I think that's the only piece I would have added. But otherwise, I thought, honestly, it was a really nice send-off. Really nice.
I agree.
I would have loved to see one game against the States. That's all. But that might be asking a bit too much. I feel like that's,
Yeah.
I'm good.
No.
Thank you.
It's just perennial rivals, right? But again, that's.
I wonder if she's gonna unblock them now that she's retired.
I hope not. You gotta commit to the bit.
I love that energy. I'm so here for that.
You gotta commit to the bit. I hope not.
Exactly. Wholeheartedly agree. Alrighty. Next tweet.
This is from Alexandre Gagné-Ruzic. After a strong run of games, 19-year-old Canadian men's national team eligible winger Luka Koleosho scored his first Premier League goal for Burnley today. This is last week. The quad national remains a long shot for Canada, but good to see his showings regardless.
So his
players like this. Sorry?
He's actually now injured for several months.
He's injured for several months.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Like not sure he's going to come back this season injured.
Oh,
really?
wow.
Yeah. The Vincent Company said maybe at the end of the season.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So sorry. I just before you get excited, if you want to say stuff, I just want to make sure everyone has the up-to-date situation.
No, I mean, it wasn't referenced specifically to him, but into many players like him. And we've had this this common theme where there's a lot of eligible players that would be awesome to have for the Canadian national team, but it just doesn't work out. And then you see the Americans get people like Balogun and Serginho Dest and even Morris. What does Canada need to do to convince these multiple nationals that their program is the right program?
I'm gonna answer with Robbie's comment. Win.
Okay, but they have won the same amount of stuff recently as the Americans have.
No, man. I'm sorry.
No,
they didn't win any trophies.
I was gonna say there's just cobwebs, and there's the 2003 Gold Cup and some cobwebs in their trophy.
2000 Gold Cup and
2000.
85 Gold Cups. So we have two Gold Cups, 85 and 2000. That's it. Nothing else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Win. Just win. That's the only thing you need. If you win, first of all, by the way, I don't know if you guys realize, but they dropped in the rankings. They're now 48th in the world. They have to remain in the top 50 or else they're going to lose a lot of things. Why with the work permits, in England being given for the top 450 teams in the world more easily. Not always, but more easily. So that's one thing. The second thing, you need to win. It's as simple as that, because you have a good player pool. You're starting to have a good local league with the Canadian Premier League, still improving with, really some very good attendances this year, and some very good product on the pitch.
Yeah.
So, no, you need to win. It's as simple as that. There's nothing else. There's nothing else that you need to do because the players are there. You have world-class players. You have some very good players. You have some MLS players. You need to win. That's the only thing.
Besides acting like a proper federation and winning.
I think that's it. I think that's it.
That's really it.
I think that's it. Stop getting in payroll fights with your players, and doing chaotic press conferences.
The blueprint is there, folks.
And win. Yeah.
And win.
All right. Okay, shall we move on?
Next week. Yes, this is from Canadian Soccer Daily. Former TFC winger Jay Nelson urges other Canadians to leave for Europe. It's something that needs to happen to get into better tournaments and better environments. To make them move to Europe is the best thing. How difficult of an indictment of MLS and their youth development is a statement like that? You have a former MLS youth product in Europe saying you have to get to Europe as soon as possible. If MLS is priding itself on at least partially being one of those leagues that can develop young talent.
I don't think it's an indictment necessarily at all. I think the level is significantly higher in, even when outside of top 5 leagues in Europe, many, many, many leagues in Europe, there are so many iterations of continental competitions, so that even if you don't finish like top couple in your league domestically, you still have the chance to play other opposition and play for other trophies. I think as well, just the culture is significantly different because soccer has been an important sport over there for so long in so many different countries. So I don't think it's as much of an indictment. And I didn't read the full piece, so I might be wrong here because I don't have the rest of the comments to really fall back on. But I think it's just a natural progression of development.
What do you think that, with a lot of these like top talent, like Jonathan David, top talent like Alfonso Davies, Weston McKennie, stuff like that, Christian Pulisic, obviously they go straight to top teams and they're ready. But players who would, find a bench role in Europe versus finding a starting role in MLS, why do you think, going to Europe and playing a rotational role, like even like Ishmael Kone, who does have a few starts under his belt, but is by no means a perennial starter, why do you think being at Watford in a rotational capacity is better than being at CF Montreal and starting 35 games a year out of like 40?
Like again, for me, it's hugely cultural.
I agree.
It's the pressure is just so much higher on the players to compete in Europe, along with the list of things I mentioned earlier. So I think for me, it's just the culture of all levels of competition, and when you factor in promotion and relegation on top of it, it's just like a whole extra layer of I don't know, goodness.
Listen, it's like in basketball. Okay, if you play in the NBA, you're playing at a higher level than if you're playing in Europe. It's just as simple as that. It's cultural. It's as simple as that. If you are a big NBA player, you can't walk on the streets in North America because everybody's going to recognize you. So the pressure is there, but it's consistent. That's the most important thing. It's very inconsistent. And in Europe, soccer, it's the same thing. It's just consistent pressure. And that's what you need to grow, because if you're always pressured, you either make it or you break it. It's as simple as that.
Very good point. Very good analogy, Hady. Thank you. Next tweet, final tweet. This is from Claire Hanna. One of the players asked Sinclair, what advice would you give to your 12-year-old self? I've always been a perfectionist. My advice would be to enjoy the moments a little more, and I tell myself it's okay to make mistakes, try different things on the soccer pitch. Christine Sinclair, we've talked about how important Christine Sinclair is to us and to so many other Canadian soccer fans. Of this next generation of Canadian soccer players and for the women's team more specifically, who do you think is best suited to kind of take up the mantle as the face of the national team? Who do you think is most likely to take up that player that, kids look up to? More specifically, young girls look up to and be like, she's the reason I got into soccer.
Jessie Fleming.
Good answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think typically it's going to be your most talented player, your player who kind of catches the most eyes technically. I think probably by default it would be Jessie Fleming. I think so. And then, obviously you will have your little fledgling goalkeepers who just know that they're going to be goalkeepers, who will look to Kaylin Sheridan probably, because goalkeepers are particular. But otherwise, yeah, I do feel I said particular. I didn't say anything mean.
It's never meant as an insult. It's always meant as a term of endearment. Exactly.
But yeah, I think the vast majority of players, it will be Jessie Fleming who they look to. Agree.
Another player I think would be Kadisha Buchanan. I just think
definitely.
that she does project that kind of, especially for defenders, because
she has an aura.
Defenders, exactly. She has that aura about her of like, a superhero almost. So like I think that would be a another really one. But I think Jessie Fleming, you're right, is probably the most likely to slot in. That even the way she speaks, even the way she carries herself is very much very professional and very much someone that you want your kid to look up to in this sport.
Yeah.
So I think that I agree with that.
Excellent.
Yeah, the only thing is that Kadisha Buchanan right now is not starting with Chelsea, and that bothers me a lot. Even Ashley Lawrence is not starting with Chelsea. And in my opinion, those players have to be starting. So I don't care if you're playing for Chelsea. If the Chelsea manager doesn't want to put them as starters, go get minutes elsewhere. There's so many good top clubs in Europe. I'm pretty sure you're gonna find a top club that's gonna start you.
Ashley Lawrence just got there.
Yeah, but she's not starting.
No, I know.
This weekend she was playing against Arsenal and she was on the bench.
No. Chelsea didn't play Arsenal this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, they did. They lost 4-1.
Oh my God, you're right. They did. Sorry. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, they got spanked. I forgot. Yes.
Yeah, but now I'm not gonna talk about the WSL because Arsenal. Yeah, I don't know if you guys looked at their bench. It was scary. Yeah. Scary bench. Scary bench.
Barcelona needs center backs, so Kadisha Buchanan.
Exactly. There are so many good clubs that would be grateful to have Kadisha Buchanan and Ashley Lawrence as starters. It's just not normal to see them on the bench. Not normal. For me, it's unacceptable. So we'll see.
Agreed.
Perfect. So this is it for social media, and this is it for today's show. Guys, thanks a lot for being here with me. All three of us reunited. Love it. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, yes. Okay, sorry. I didn't realize you were waiting for comments.
There was a pause, Eve. There was a pause. No, but thank you, guys. And of course, thanks to everyone for listening today, for tuning in, for commenting and everything. I really, really appreciate it. We all three of us really appreciate it. Of course, if you want to help us grow the content, grow the product for sure, please, we do have a Patreon page. Go take a look. If you want to, you can always contribute. That will be mostly appreciated for sure. And this is it for us this week. So for episode 159, next week is episode 160, which is gonna be special. Like all episodes, they're all special. And the next week will be the same for sure. So thanks a lot, everyone, and see you next week for another episode of The Ball Is Round.